Hello, Hypno Junkies. Welcome back to more Chaos Head Noah. So, as I said at the end of last episode, this is shortly after I recorded it. We're getting right back into it. As typically happens at the end of a chapter, we got hit by some stuff. The main one being the appearance of Shogun, presumably in our own heads, since it seems to be an alternate personality, I guess you could say. Also, we most definitely sleepwalked out to Shibuya Scramble, which was not good for our health, standing in the middle of that intersection. Remy, for some reason, was around to escort us out. But, I think we need to go back to the hospital for some more checkups. I think we need to go investigate that sleepwalking idea a little bit more. But we're also getting into a chapter which just happens to be called D-Sword. Hopefully a better sword than we got last time. I also wonder, I speculated about Shogun possibly being the one that phoned us. I think it was just last episode when we got that other voicemail that was from the same number. Did we call ourselves? I don't think we did, considering they both seemed like incoming calls, but at the same time, one of those could have been a delusion, or a delusion I could have chosen. Again, I don't know how to play this game, because I don't know what the delusions are supposed to mean. We're just kind of rolling. But who the hell knows what that message was supposed to mean, too? Why did we get a bunch of beeps? In any case, we're probably going to get a proper D-Sword during this chapter, which would be nice, because the one we have now is embarrassing. Sign City was a pair of buildings located just south of the Shibuya Scramble crossing. Chapter 4, let's go. A small plaza rested in front of the entrance to the east building, and while it was not nearly as big as the ones in front of Hachiko, the Moye statue, or other popular destinations, still found itself used quite often as a meeting place. Even now, around a dozen people were staring at their cell phones, waiting for their engagements to begin. And who are we? Oh, okay. I hadn't expected you to be the one we were having the perspective of. Haven't seen you in a bit. Among those few, only one girl wore an oddly stern expression on her face as she idled, a high school student known as Aoi Sena. She was standing next to the escalator leading down from the Inokashira Line station. That's where the fourth murder was. She leaned her back against a nearby white pillar as she thoroughly scanned the environment with her gaze. In contrast to both the sharpness of her gaze and the season, she was nibbling on a popsicle. Yes, I noticed that, which in turn made her appear incredibly charming to the casual observer. In truth, the girl was not waiting for anyone, but was instead quietly observing the passers-by, while she whips her giant sword around and sees who notices. From where she was standing, she could see all the way to the Jumbotron located at Scramble Crossing. A music video from a famous singer was being displayed on it, and on the lower portion of the screen, a news ticker was reporting the latest information on the recent string of incidents, colloquially referred to as New Gen. This game loves the word colloquially. Not a day went by without New Gen-related news. It was everywhere. TV, newspapers, the internet, weekly news magazines, jumbotrons, electronic billboards, everywhere. Although Sena had absolutely no interest in the phenomenon, she would often overhear people speaking about it as she passed by them on the streets of Shibuya. Whose eyes are those eyes? Over the past few days, she had begun to see several people wearing t-shirts with those words emblazoned on them. Man, imagine being our boy Takumi, and you've got this little private sentence of yours, and it's just something that you know, and, whatever private thing, and now people are literally wearing it on t-shirts. In Shibuya, the phrase had become popular as an obscure meme, and it was now starting to really take off. Despite the brutal scene the words originated from, people happily walked on down the street, raving about how well the shirts were selling at a souvenir shop in Harajuku, a clear indication of how disinterested people were in anything other than themselves. Yeah, the only way that became known to the population was from the writing on the bloody wall. Sena snorted quietly in a contemptuous display, finishing the last bite of her popsicle, and closed her eyes softly without losing her stern expression. That's it? That's all we get from you? She listened carefully to the noise of the city. An abundance of different sounds billowed in front of the station on the Sunday afternoon. The roar of trains arriving at the platform, the blaring horns of taxis, People walking and talking, the background music coming from the jumbotrons and from inside the Science City stores, the announcements telling people how to safely ride the escalators. The sounds were never allowed to end. Before one sound finished, another one would appear, creating a multi-layered discord that ran throughout the station. In the midst of all the discordant noise, Sena focused her attention only on the people's voices. Her mind blocked out all other sound, and their words soon became clear. I'm not reading that. It's going too fast. Matches up with the words of the lyrics. Keep it all. They're talking about Phantasm. Yep. Yep, that's noise. Suck my dick, dude. Go buy one yourself. Yeah, they're talking about the lyrics. Go buy an album. Wow, this is just going. It's not a guy, though, they're saying. It might be a girl. Totally cheer. If she does, I'd totally cheer her on. What? Yeah, just... A short click of the tongue escaped from Sena's mouth. And she stopped listening soon after. There was nothing of value to be found in any of the noise. After all, noise was simply that. Noise. And that as well, this feeling of someone's gaze on me. Am I imagining it? This better not be the player. This better be something a little bit more profound than that. Come on. Once more, Sena examined her surroundings. For a while now, she had been feeling a repulsive sensation, like cold fingers caressing her spine. A gaze being cast upon her by an unknown entity. One with which she was unable to pinpoint exactly what the source was. Sena pushed herself off the pillar she was leaning against. Then, as if she had just remembered something, she stared down at the popsicle stick in her hand. Looks like I lost, huh? What did you lose? Were you playing a game? Gradually growing more and more discontent, she wrinkled her brow and began to walk quickly toward the station. And that is the end of your interlude. We get a little vignette at the beginning of each chapter. We had a flashback, we had a bit with Ben, and then we had that. That's Sky. Why is it so blue that it makes me want to cry? Because someone wished for it to be. Why does that sound like Remy's voice? I didn't wish for it. No, but I did. Who's I? Whoa? Are you talking to the gays? It is Remy. Because this place is your image world, but at the same time it is mine as well. We got a bunch of people with DID? Or are there alternate universes? Again, these are the same people that made Steins Gate, so I wonder. Hey. That's Sky. Where is it? Wherever you wish for it to be. Is it okay for me to wish for it? As long as you're wishing for something other than murdering people in a back alley, I'm cool with it. Also, wait. I was about to say this is Nanami, but we don't live with Nanami, so what's the deal? Is she just banging on our crate again? Good morning! Come on, it's time to get up! Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. Oh. Of course, how did I not call that? Saratan was calling me. Last night's episode of Blood Toon was awesome. Saratan played a huge part in it, and there was a super hot kiss scene. The animation quality was practically movie tier, too. If you wake up, I'll give you a good morning kissy poo. Wait, what am I saying? Stupid. I didn't mean it, you dope. Saratan was calling me. Plus, she was saying such moe things that I couldn't not wake up. Totally not crazy, guys. Is it just me, or is your room even messier? I tore the blanket off my body and got up from the sofa with a groan. Is this your alarm on your phone? Is this what you put on it? Hey, just how long are you going to sleep for, you big dum-dum? Because it sounds like a recording. If you keep on sleeping, I'm going to bash you with my samurai condenser and wake you up real good. The moment I turned off my alarm clock, the voice of Seratan's that had been echoing through the room disappeared. Okay, so it was the alarm. Morning, Sarah. The Sarah alarm clock I had was very useful. Oh, I'm sure it's effective as hell. If I didn't turn it off, the volume would slowly get louder and louder, and if I still didn't get up, an obnoxious buzzer sound would ring out. Why does that sound familiar? I wanted it to be Seratan who woke me up in the morning, so I made it a point to wake up and turn it off before the buzzer. I'd only failed to do so once or twice so far. I finally found a use for my phone. After all, being woke up by Seratan was a great way to start the day. Waking up was the absolute worst. I played Vidya until dawn, and the couch had been extremely uncomfortable once I actually had gone to sleep, but having her to wake me up helped alleviate some of that pain. Today was a school day. I'd skipped a day last week, so my minimum attendance chart was really starting to fall apart. You gotta go extra times. With the chart, I was only slated to go twice this week, but because of that deviation, I was stuck with having to go 3 times instead. What are you gonna do? Remy's gonna be there every time. I didn't want to go, but it'd be much worse if I didn't. If I missed any more days, I wouldn't be able to graduate. Then again, whether or not I graduated made no difference to me, to be honest. Just a moment ago, I'd been having a dream with Remy in it. It was a strange dream. Oh, is that what we were seeing? One that felt terribly wistful, one that felt terribly lonesome, one that felt terribly sad, and one that felt terribly distant. Would Remy come to school today? Why would she not? She's not you. I'd been thinking about the day before yesterday constantly. I've been thinking about it so often that I'd even forgotten to play ESO yesterday. There had been the appearance of Shogun and the delusion where every person in Shibuya disappeared, but I was barely giving either of those things any thought. You really, really should. Those are things that deserve thought, not your fucking waifu. It had to have just been a delusion of mine. I mean, you ended up there somehow. There was no way Shogun could be such an old man. And the idea of people just disappearing from Shibuya or whatever was completely ridiculous, so there was no point worrying about it. Yeah, but it happened, which is why you should be worrying about it. It had been a horribly realistic delusion, sure, but the fact that I'd allowed myself to fall for something so unrealistic so easily and get all freaked out about it was just embarrassing. See, I'm not picking reds and greens, and this guy's just deciding for himself what is and is not a delusion, so I'm really curious what effect picking those things has on the story once we get back to that. But regardless, above all else, I was thinking about Remy. The girl I had been calling the demon girl only until a couple of days ago. So you're finally over that? You finally accepted that she's just a normal person? I mean, that alley scene is still going to need an explanation. We're just going to have to be like, hey, can we talk about this? Most of what I'd felt back then was shaky and surreal, as if it were some sort of dream, but I could still vividly remember the sensation of Remy's body embracing my own. If she hadn't done that, I could have gone insane and lost myself completely. Why had Remy saved me? Maybe because we really were friends? I didn't have any memories of us being classmates now, let alone since first year, nor did I remember going to the movies with her along with Mizumi-kun. But the way she treated me was definitely how you treat a close friend. Are these memory problems? Has she been hanging out with Shogun this whole time? What's been going on? She'd even seemed like she'd been close to crying when she held me. That, at the very least, I didn't think was an act. That was the first time I'd ever seen a girl care about, let alone cry over an otaku freak like me. When she'd treated me like that, all of my fears and suspicions were blown away in an instant. In fact, it had made me feel like I might fall in love with her. No, I obviously couldn't let myself do that. Yes, good to catch yourself. Don't cheat on Seratan. Confusion invaded every corner of my mind. How was I supposed to act around Remy from now on? Was Remy my ally or my enemy? Was Remy the new-gen culprit? I mean, there's evidence for that. She'd saved me. That was an undeniable fact. But it was just as much of a fact that I had seen her standing still as could be at the scene of the crucifixion covered in blood. Exactly. Let's not forget this. Oh, we haven't been here in a while. Are we going to run into Yua? On my way to school, I stopped by Shoto Park. After what had happened with Yua, I'd put a stop to my habit of eating breakfast there before going to school. There was no way I could feel even remotely relaxed when I thought that Yua could be watching me from anywhere. And even if I ignored that, if she came up to talk to me, she would start going off about her irritating, delusional, schizo bullshit all over again. Hey, she's the one who got you on you being Shogun. Let's give her some credit. I didn't want anything to do with a girl like her. Yua was Rimi's underling. Sure, my original guess may have been incorrect, but that doesn't mean that Yua wasn't my enemy. It was still possible that Shogun was the boss of the whole thing and Yua was one of her underlings. Yua was one of his underlings. Either way, I knew I'd be better off staying as far away from her as I could. And yet, I found myself coming here today for some reason. I examined my surroundings carefully to make sure that I couldn't see Yua anywhere, and once I knew the coast was clear, I slowly sat down at my usual bench. Someone's going to come up to us. Yua or Nanami. I took a bite of the chocolate bread I just bought from the convenience store, then looked out at the pond. Did the convenience store clerk have anything to say about that? Did he look at you to just be like, hey, last time you were in was kind of freaky, my guy? There was next to no wind, and the surface of the water was calm and serene. I could see the occasional shadows of carp-esque fish gliding through the murky water. The park was unusually empty today. It was a very quiet spot. And as my gaze wandered across the park, I couldn't help but think about Rimi. To be honest, I've been dreading going to school today. I knew I'd have to face her if I did, and that was the real reason why I was stalling at the park. I feel like I'd said a lot of awful things to her. You did. And yet the smile on her face never faltered, and she always treated me like I was a close friend. And I was sure that, when I went to school today, she would keep on doing that as if nothing had ever happened. She'd smile and talk to me like we were friends, pretending that she didn't even care at all about what happened in front of 107. It was hard to put it into words, but I felt a little bit annoyed by her constant cheerfulness, yet at the same time, I also ended up feeling more cheerful myself when I was with her. I wasn't sure how to act once I did run into her. It was true that I didn't think she was a demon anymore, but honestly I didn't think of her as a friend either. Yeah, technically speaking, you've known her for 2 days. Mizumi-kun had said that she and I had been really close classmates for the past year and a half, but I didn't remember anything like that at all. Maybe it really was because of the person controlling me. But making my memories of Rimi and only Rimi disappear with pinpoint accuracy like that? There was no way that was possible. Upon entering the school building, I lowered my head even farther toward the ground. As was my usual MO, I kept close to the wall and walked slowly toward the staircase. My class was on the 3rd floor. Getting up there was a pretty big hassle. They could really use an escalator or something. Oh, it's you again. When I reached the foot of the staircase, I spotted a girl climbing unsteadily up the stairs. Yeah, you're in my class. She was dragging her right leg a little as she walked. Oh, really? Maybe she'd twisted it. Her petite body swayed from side to side. She looked extremely unstable. As other students passed by her one after the other, the girl slowly continued to climb, exactly one step at a time. Watching her from below, I would be able to see her panties any second now. Yes, that's the priority. Shit, if I keep this up, I'd be labeled a total pervert. I have no problem labeling you a total pervert right now. I'm pretty sure we had you labeled as that day one. Last thing I needed was to go in front of a mirror and see myself as Bill Clinton or some shit. Oh! Scathing political commentary. Very topical. With that thought in mind, I stepped onto the stairs in order to pass the girl, but right when I did, she fell on me. Why don't you use your giant sword to help you walk? Use it as a crutch. The girl caught the tip of her shoe on one of the steps and she immediately staggered. And, oh dear. She then fell down so hard you can almost feel the crash sound effect. Fortunately, she'd end up falling on the landing, so she hadn't fallen down the entire staircase. She was still down on her knees from the pain, though, and was staying pretty still. Could this be a flag? Yeah, no way. Even if it was, calling out to her anything even remotely similar would be impossible for me. Oh, you're just going to leave her there. Yeah, so see ya. Hope you're well. So I hurriedly slipped past her. See you in class. Put a Band-Aid on that. Sorry, but you should get some womanizer who's actually into 3D to help you. Someone like Mizumi-kun. Yeah, tell Mizumi-kun about this. He'll be happy to go back and help. You really shouldn't rely on me. You really shouldn't. You going to think twice? He's going to think twice. But the girl was staying curled up on the ground so motionlessly, I started to get a little worried. I was halfway up the stairs when I slowly turned back around to check on her. Same CG? Not quite. Hey, she's up. She's fine. The girl was gripping onto the railing and trying her absolute hardest to stand back up. You twist your ankle or something? Her knees were trembling. She looked like a newborn fawn or something. Her knee was oozing blood. Maybe she scraped it. This is like your second day, girl. Her face, I'd seen it before. Oh no, not her second day quite. Wasn't she the girl who transferred into my class last week? She was. What was her name again? I couldn't remember it. Orihara? Oh wow, she was crying. Did it hurt that badly? The fall had definitely been pretty bad, but not bad enough that she'd cry from it. I mean, look how little she is. Come on. There was nobody else willing to lend her a hand. Everyone at this school is an asshole. After just barely managing to stand up, she bent forward and peered down at her knee. She must have been checking to see if she'd hurt it. Yeah, everyone at the school is an asshole. No wonder Mizumi has such luck with the girls. The transfer student wiped away her tears, set down her bag on the spot, and started rummaging around inside it. Oh, what's she looking for, I wonder? Oh, I wondered about that bangle that we gave Nanami and wondering if that was going to be the real power behind DI swords. Is she about to do what I suggested, use her sword as a crutch, but she needs her bangle or some other accessory? Suddenly, she raised her hand above her head in a triumphant manner. Oh, she's just getting a band-aid. Never mind! Forget everything I just said. Clasped in her hand was a band-aid. Our eyes met. And she blushed and faded away. The transfer student went red in surprise soon after, then hung her head. Regardless, she looked like she was okay, so I was sure she'd be fine without me. Thinking that, I hurriedly made my way to class. She has a band-aid, she's fine. As per usual, I kept my head down and my gaze fixed on my toes. Hey, Mizumi, there's a damsel in distress on the staircase. Go deal with that. And while still remaining silent, I took my seat. When I sat down, I remembered that the transfer student had said something to me on the day she transferred. I'm so happy we're in the same class or something. I'd forgotten all about it after everything with Rimi, but I wonder what she'd meant by that. Hey, asshole. Still according to routine, Mizumi called out to me. Maybe he didn't have any other friends besides me. He'd always talk to me and no one else, so I was starting to genuinely suspect that. Listen up. Okay, so yesterday I saw these two sketchy old dudes going into the principal's office. Uh-oh. Is that Ban and Sua? I would definitely refer to Ban as sketchy, maybe not Sua. And so when I saw that, Rimi and I both went straight to try to eavesdrop on him, and we were totally shocked by what we heard, because they were talking about us, right? Those two guys were detectives. What? Detectives? Yeah, they were going over the whole school roster. They looked real serious. Maybe it's got something to do with Nugin? They wouldn't necessarily be investigating us because they know they heard from us that the culprit was a girl in a sume. I believe we said that they were in a sume uniform. Whether they believe us or not is another question. But according to the conference we saw at the end of the last chapter, it seems like they're taking the possibility of a student being the culprit at least a little seriously. Maybe the true Nugin culprit was someone at this very school. I couldn't help it, but a face popped into my mind. Rimi's, and for good reason. Well, they did end up catching us when we were eavesdropping. Ta-ha-ha-ha-ha. Oh, you little knucklehead. I jumped. Yeah, Rimi is just there. Speak of the devil. Jesus Christ! I felt my heart rate leap when I heard Rimi's voice invade the conversation. I couldn't look up. I was too nervous. But this was a completely different kind of nervousness than last week's. That's because you decided it'd be a great idea to go and open the door. It's your fault. Oh, come on, I couldn't help it. I'd never seen a real detective before, so obviously I was a little excited, and then I just kind of did it, and then I realized, oh, he just looks like Columbo, and then I was less excited. How the hell do you just kind of open a door? Thanks to you, we had to get questioned by those two dicks, too. I call them dicks, but it's not an insult. They're actually dicks. That's what a gumshoe is. It's a dick. There were two dicks in the principal's office. We got interrogated by dicks. What's wrong, Daichin? Got something you don't want the big, scary detectives to hear? Don't you? Gee, I wonder. Mizumi-kun and Rimi were having a conversation with my desk sandwiched in between them. They were completely ignoring my existence, but to be honest, I was grateful for that. Even if Rimi did talk to me, I didn't have any faith that I'd be able to say anything back. I was hoping that the bell would ring before they got the chance to say anything to me, but when I glanced at the clock, I saw there were still about 5 minutes until the class started. That little girl is going to stagger in here, and we're going to have to deal with the fact that we didn't help her. Get guilt-tripped. So yeah, that reminds me, Taku. Did you see Kozue-chan on the way here? I did. Kozue-chan? Who? That was the little girl who fell. Irahara Kozue. Oh, right. I figured you probably wouldn't remember because it's you and all, but you really don't, huh? The transfer student from last week. Orihara Kozue-chan. Oh, so that was her name. Orihara Kozue. Oh, she's on the stairs. The stairs? I saw her. Oh, that's so. Looks like I'll be right back. Well, there we go. The white knight in shining armor is about to sweep in and save the day. Mizumi-kun's voice gave off an aura of intense enthusiasm. I hadn't seen him this energetic since a few days ago when he'd found out that FES was from the next class over. In other words, I'd never seen him give his all for anything except girls. Well, we're talking about girls. Which reminded me that just last week, Mizumi-kun had already gone to hit on the transfer student the moment she'd arrived. Did we see that? He hit on FES instantly. You really are incorrigible. You've got a girlfriend and everything. I hope you're real proud. Does he, though? He keeps talking about it. Hey, Kozue-chan's seriously cute, don't you think? He asked me something I had trouble answering. I moved my head down ambiguously, which he apparently took as a yes. Right? I fell for it. First sight. All I want to do is protect her. I mean, you've got a golden opportunity right now. Go there and leave me alone. All the boys agree. Every single one of them says she's cute. The girls, on the other hand, can't stand her. She's got a real low reputation with them. Which is crazy, since she only just transferred. Despite that, though, they're all super quick to call her annoying or whatever else. This class has got way too many girls with shit personalities. Well, at least you have some standards. Isn't all that kind of your fault, Daichin? I mean, isn't the main person who's calling her annoying your girlfriend? Oh, really? Are we going to find out that Sena is his girlfriend? Because that would be hilarious. Yeah, I guess. What's your point? Okay, so there is a girlfriend. Rimi acknowledges her. My point is that of course she'd find her annoying. Any girl would be like that if they saw their boyfriend hitting on another girl right in front of them. Okay, well that would do it. Even I get into fights with her a whole bunch. She'll say stuff like, "Stay away from Daisuke-kun," and she's far from the only girl who's told me that. You serious? So you don't even know. Would it kill you to do even a little self-reflection? Nah, it's just way too tough out here for a popular dude. Heh. And there it is. My fault for expecting anything different from you, the enemy of all women. I'm not going to cover for you anymore, you got that? Oh hey, Orihara-san's here. She managed to... Oh. Wait, doesn't she look kind of hurt? Yeah, she does. You're right. I wonder what happened. And that was before she fell. She'd gotten hurt back when I saw her on the stairs. I obviously wasn't going to tell them that, though. I was trying to avoid talking to Rimi in any way possible. I'm going to go check up on her real quick. Mizumi-kun ran up to where the transfer student was. Thanks to that, Rimi was the only one left standing close to my desk. Ah, my favorite situation. Ah, Mizumi-kun, please don't go. No. It's time for a delusion. I need to pick red and nuke this woman. Yeah, how's it going? Rimi didn't say anything, but she didn't move away from my seat either. Considering the fact that I was hunched over so far on my desk that I could nearly sink my teeth into it, I couldn't see her expression. All I could see was her waist, but if that were true, then that would mean she had to be facing me. In other words, she was looking at me. One day we'll play the game. One day. I should probably say something. Maybe a greeting of some sort. But it wasn't like I ever greeted people normally. It would be even more unnatural for me to suddenly start doing it out of the blue like that. I have a feeling this delusion system is also in Chaos Child, which we will almost certainly play after this. So once we've 100%ed this game, we may be going into that game with a lot more knowledge of what the F we're doing. But in the meantime, I don't know what this mechanic is, so I'm just going to keep sailing through. Maybe I should bring up the transfer student. But it wasn't like I ever chatted with Remy normally, that you remember. It would be even more unnatural for me to suddenly start chatting with her out of the blue like that. I could thank her for the day before yesterday? Hey, what happened to your bag? You just left it here. No, before I did that, maybe I should apologize for being so rude to her after she'd done so much to help me. I could also ask her about why she'd been there back then. That's also a good question. I've been wondering that myself. I could ask her if maybe she'd hugged me because she liked me, or I could ask her about why she was at the site of the crucifixion. Yes, that's a good thing to bring up in the middle of the classroom here. No. None of those topics were conversation starters at all. I mean, they're worth talking about. Not here, but somewhere. Hi, noises. What was I supposed to do? The silence put more and more pressure on me. If only I were a silent protag like in Persona, none of this would be a problem. I knew I had to say something, and I knew it would be awkward to stay silent, but I still couldn't force out any words. Ugh, I hated the 3D world so goddamn much. Can I just play ESO on my Steam Deck? I was tired of almost choking over just trying to talk. I just wanted to hurry up and go home to my comforting Saratan. I'm amazed he doesn't bring the figure to school with him. Remy's voice suddenly broke the silence. I jumped in surprise and a shudder ran through me. I still couldn't look up. So the day before yesterday, were you okay after you left? See? You can talk about this. Remy's voice was quiet. I felt her breath faintly on my ear. When I looked up in surprise, I realized that she'd moved her face really close to mine and she was now whispering in my ear. Remy's body was right next to mine. The soft, warm body that had hugged me in the middle of that road. My mind was going completely blank. The only thing I could think of was the sensation of Remy's body against mine. You are such a pushover. I was really worried. I didn't know whether you'd gotten home safe or not. I nodded frantically several times. And accidentally hit my head on my desk. Okay, I'm glad you're okay. Never do something dangerous like that ever again. You got it? I still don't know what I did. I mean, we know what he did. Upon telling me that, Remy made to leave the classroom. I felt a sudden urge to ask her something. She just said something dangerous like that. I wanted to ask her. Back then, what did it all look like to you? Considering the fact that she hadn't mentioned anything in particular, it seemed like she didn't know anything about the people temporarily disappearing from the streets of Shibuya, or anything about the wheelchair-bound Shogun, which would probably mean it had just been one of my delusions after all. That was why I wanted to ask her. But I didn't think I'd be able to look up and do so after all this time. Either way, I couldn't do it today. I couldn't even prepare myself to ask her. Dude, if you have delusions on that level to the point where you're just ready to accept them as, oh, that's what it was, you need to go back to that hospital. So next time then, I'd ask her the very next time I came to school. Any bets? Yeah, I should probably organize the questions I wanted to ask her beforehand then. Huh? Look, Taku! Orihara-san's coming this way. I thought she was here already. Didn't we see her? The transfer student? Why was she coming over here? Oh, she's in the classroom, but she's coming here. She's going to be like, hey, asshole, thanks for all the help. Was she going to come down on me for not helping her on the stairs earlier? I think she's a little too meek for that, but she might be thinking it. Yeah, she didn't seem like the type of person to do that. Or maybe she wasn't coming up to me, but she actually wanted Remy for something. Use the giant sword as a crutch. Problem solved. I'm pretty sure there was even a place in the middle for it for you to hang on to. The transfer student came up to Remy, then stopped. She didn't say anything. What the hell? As long as Remy was here, I couldn't raise my head. The transfer student's toes were fidgeting, because that's the only part of her I could see, but she still didn't try to say anything. Orihara-san, what's wrong? For some reason, the new student timidly then placed a single bandage on the edge of my desk. It was a fancy one, with a picture of that weird character, Gero Froggy, emblazoned on it. Oh, delightful. Huh? You seem not pissed, but why are you giving me this band? Whoa, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Maybe I was right about that whole token idea. And her token is a Band-Aid. And she put on the Band-Aid so she could use her sword to get up the stairs. And she's offering us a Band-Aid because she thinks it might help us get our sword. Is that what's happening here? How do I react to this? This Orihara Kozue girl is kind of weird. Why are you giving me a Band-Aid? I didn't fall. And now you're going to start crying. Okay. I can't handle this chick. Oh no, Orihara-san, don't cry. What? Was she crying? Why is she crying? Was it because I didn't say anything? But the transfer student hadn't said anything to me either. I don't think Taku's mad or anything. Yeah, we need Rimi to translate here. Rimi swooped in and covered for me. Come to think of it, that was a little bit odd. I didn't know next to anything about Rimi, and yet she knew a lot about me. He just doesn't look people in the eye all that often. He's an introvert like that. Literally just staring holes in my desk. So there's no need to be all shaky and nervous, okay? Huh? Are you giving me a Band-Aid too? Why is everyone getting Band-Aids? Okay. Just in case, I don't know. Is this your idea of a present? You're just handing out Band-Aids to the class? Hi, my name is Orihara. I want to be your friend. Here, take this present. With that, the transfer student bowed her head deeply to Rimi, and then she sped her way back to her seat. It's almost like she was running away or something. Okay, so her knee's fine. I have no idea what just happened, but I think you should probably take the Band-Aid, Taku. I don't want your Garo Froggy Band-Aid on my desk. Why is she giving it to me? I'm going to grab it. The D-Sword's just going to appear, and poor Mizumi's going to be impaled on it. Kazue-chan, a girl of few words, ain't she? Where were you? She was over here. I got the feeling Mizumi-kun had come back. Mostly because he had come back and I could hear him. I gave her a tour of the school on her first day. Wow, you were really quick to get your hands on her. Whoa, I haven't done anything. Yet. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Anyway, on that tour, we spent about an hour, give or take, just running all over the place, and I was the only person talking the whole time. As you can imagine, I got pretty worn out. Oh yeah, she's pretty quick to cry, too. Yeah, we discovered that. Yes, she really is. She started crying out of nowhere just a second ago, so I got all freaked out trying to figure out what the heck even happened. Just goes to show how innocent she really is. I'll fix that later. Hey, Taku, you get it, don't you? You know how cute everything she does is, don't you? If I were to put it in need speak, she's moe's all hell. I would never actually say that unironically, but, you know, you're you. What's up? You need to take a shit? No, you're thinking of band. I shook my head from side to side as hard as I could. Taku, you haven't said a word for a really long time now. Like, literally all day. Yeah, that's because you're here. I wasn't ready for that. I've never talked to a friend who was also a girl all friendly before. Then again, I've never had a single female friend before, not throughout my entire life. Like, she's your friend, but you're not her friend. It's a weird situation. When I tried to talk to Orihara-san, I was hit with this feeling. Oh? I just couldn't help but think. It kind of wore me out, I guess. What did you just not be able to think? Girls really are ruthless toward their own gender, huh? Then again, I'll be the one to protect her, so it doesn't really matter. Meanwhile, she's hobbling around, her knees bleeding. Mizumi's over here saying, I'll protect her, with his hands on his hips doing jack shit. Oh, come on. Didn't you say less than a minute ago that hanging around her wore you out too? Ah, shut it. Kazue-chan gives off the same vibes as Taku. Makes me not want to leave him alone if I can help it, you know? Oh, I guess I sort of understand that. Are we going to become a little foursome buddy pal combo? All the people with magic weapons are starting to come together, which is gonna culminate in something. Ding dong, ding dong. That was a short bell. Is Sena gonna be out here again? The sound of the bell told me that all the classes were done for the day. The second it went off, I packed up my things, got up from my desk, and left the classroom. I am Speed. I couldn't stand the subtle distance I felt between me and Remy for a second longer, so I wanted to get out of the classroom ASAP. Besides, I also had to stop by Manga Darake today. In the end, I hadn't been able to say a single word to Remy, and you think you're going to quiz her later with a list of questions. Yeah, fat chance. I'd had several chances to talk to her, but just like this morning, I'd kept my mouth locked shut the entire time. I might have screwed up by doing that. It would make it even more difficult to talk to her the next time I saw her. I was sinking deeper and deeper into the thick swamp that was trying to figure out how the hell to act around Remy. Oh! What are you doing here? Ah, big bro! Just as I was about to leave the school, I was hit with the voice of a certain irritating person. Nanami came running up to me holding a trash can in her hands. She must have been in the middle of taking it out. Unfortunately for me, the bitch had spotted me. I tried to ignore her and sped my way up out of there, but just like usual, Nanami refused to let that happen. The hem of my uniform was pulled tightly from behind. How many times do I have to tell you not to run away from me? What do you want? Don't give me that. Don't you realize I have to chase after you whenever you run away? It's kind of annoying. Okay, then don't chase after me if you don't need something. Problem solved. You haven't been calling home at all, which is nothing new, but whatever. I've already given up on trying to get you to do it. I doubt you'd ever will at this point. Wow, she actually understood me for once. Then again, I didn't know how she wouldn't, being my sister and all, even though I had no need the slightest for a 3D one. So that's why I'm going to have to keep coming to your room every now and then to check up on you. The phone didn't work, so we're just going back to the old system. You should be grateful. Damn it, of course it had come to this. If only I could somehow be freed from the curse of my obnoxious little sister. I need a better sword. Hell, even though it had never happened, I at least deserve some form of compensation for putting up with her. You got a free phone. I thought about that kind of thing daily. Oh, that was it. This was my chance to put my plan from earlier into action. If I was lucky, it might even work as a modest form of revenge. Oh, getting her to call back that number? I checked my surroundings, then I started walking toward the courtyard, signaling for Nanami to follow me. Well, this could be interesting. Is she going to look at it and be like, but this is your number? Huh? What is it? Just come with me. Why? What's going on? Well, you know you're going to follow him anyway, so just do it. She was so unbelievably annoying. Was she incapable of following me or something? What a fucking idiot. Nanami, I have an important favor to ask you. What? A favor? From you? Nanami's eyes were wide. Yeah, she's about to have a heart attack from shock. Wow, that doesn't happen often. You never ask me to do stuff. Just shut up and follow me. Ah, wait up! Ah, we're back here. There weren't many people in the courtyard. During lunchtime, the place was always crowded with school students eating lunch, but the only people who'd bothered coming here after school were from the gardening club or whatever. Schools have a gardening club in Japan? Damn. Okay, so what's the favor? Nanami lowered the trash can she was carrying to the ground, then gave a big grin as she puffed out her chest. Oh, but I've got one condition. You've got to treat me to Big D's afterwards. As long as you do that, I'll do whatever you want, even though I don't really want to. You and your damn fish sandwich. Every little goddamn thing she does pissed me off. I couldn't believe she actually wanted me to pay her back for this. Well, come on. Fair's fair. Didn't help that I'd already treated her to Big D's before, too. Ah, forget it. Fine, I'll treat you. Huh? Really? Wow, you're like a totally different person today. Well, yeah, because I was lying. Foo-hee. Sauce for being a liar. Lol. Saws. I don't know that one. I don't feel like looking up the tip. And with that, I handed Nanami my cell phone. I then asked her to call the prank caller whose number was stored in my call history. The 03X733 blah blah blah. You want me to call a number off your history? Who are they? Someone I know from online. You liar. Nanami was tilting her head with a suspicious expression on her face, so I quickly told a lie that would seem plausible to her. So, why am I doing it? You'll know if you call them. That's a terrible excuse. You're not plotting something, are you? Clearly he's plotting something. Oh my god, shut the fuck up! All you have to do is just shut up and do what I say. Are you gonna call it from my phone or your phone? From my phone kind of defeats the purpose. If you can't even do that, then just go home. I have no use for you. Fine, then I won't ask you to do it. I went to snatch back the cell phone, but Nanami pulled her hand back, evading me. Okay, I'll call them. That's all I have to do, right? And just, make small talk. Maybe breathe heavy a little. You really are selfish, you know? Yeah, you should talk. Choking back my anger. Why anger? You're literally taking advantage of her, and she's calling you out on it. I watched with bated breath as Nanami dialed the number in question. Nanami, blissfully unaware, put the cell phone to her ear and waited for them to answer. Again, is this on her phone? And if she's calling on her phone and our phone rings, you watch. Oh, she's got the bangle on. I noticed that on the hand she was holding the cell phone with, she was wearing a yellow bangle. Oh, is this tune going to activate her bangle? That's the bangle she took from us, yeah. That was the one I'd given her, wasn't it? Then again, it was more something she just decided to appropriate rather than me actually giving it to her. She even wore it when she went to school? Did she really like it that much? Jeez. Even though it was just some cheap-ass bangle I'd gotten for free. Nanami really did have no taste at all. Not that I could really speak for anyone else, though. This didn't matter right now. Anyway, who was going to answer the phone? Would it be some scary DQN piece of garbage? Best case scenario would just be a prank and I had nothing to do with Shogun or Yua. Hello? Someone must have picked up, so Nanami called out as she covered the receiver with her hand. Only to raise her eyebrows soon after. She then thrust the phone back in my direction. Big bro? What? What is it? Don't give me what? It's saying the number's not in use right now. Oh? What? I snatched the phone from Nanami and put it to my ear, and what I heard was... You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check. She was right. I guess that meant it really had been a prank, huh? It said the word error, which reminds me of what Sena said when we ran into her in Shibuya, where she said, if you find an error, let me know. Is that something that is considered an error? It was a prank where you called a bunch of random numbers simultaneously over a couple of days, and when the prank was over, both the number and the phone were destroyed, or something like that. Either way, it was a pretty large-scale prank. But meh, didn't matter to me either way. I now knew that the mysterious call had been nothing more than a prank, and nothing else mattered anymore. Didn't Shogun specifically say, "Did you get my message?" Which implies that it was him. Okay, what the heck was up with that? I mean, that's the easiest fish sandwich I ever got in my life, but what's going on? I don't need you anymore. What? Leaving Nanami standing there, I started to walk off, but it didn't take long for her to chase after me. Wait just a second, what was that all about? Just shut up already. You were taking out the trash, weren't you? You left the trash can over there. Oh, right. But you still haven't told me what's going on. I'm going home, that's what's going on. I never told you I was going to explain myself. Without dealing with Nanami, I walked quickly to the school gate with her right on my tail. Boy, she's fast with that garbage can. Fine, just remember you promised to treat me to McD's. You better not forget. Like I care. Hey, did you lie to me? I forgot an entire relationship with a girl that I've been going to school with for 2 years. I will forget about your fish sandwich so damn fast. Maybe. Nanami stopped dead in her tracks, looking pretty upset. I mean, it's not like you're out a super whole lot. But I kept right on moving. You big jerk! Baka! She yelled out in a voice loud enough to echo through the entire area. Fed up with her, I went to turn around and then saw her glaring at me with her hands on her hips. A jerk like you should get their brains shriveled up by cell phone radiation and die! Is that why you got it for me? Oh shit. Thanks to Nanami's screeching, more eyes were looking our way, even though I made it a point to stand out as little as possible at school. My sister was the most obnoxious shithead of all time. Not giving a damn about what Nanami had said, I ran off toward the school gate. It was best to retreat in times like this. Jerk! Nanami's voice could still be heard even after I passed through the school gate, making me feel completely and utterly drained. And now we're at Mangadarake. Higashi Matasema was one of my favorite artists. They were ultra famous, and their fans would always form long lines at every one of their events. I'd heard that the new Blood-Tune doujinshi that had come out this summer had sold out in no time flat. I wanted to go too, but all the events where it was being sold at had been way too crowded, to the point where it would have been too much for me. Because of that, I'd found myself tearfully giving up. You poor baby. It had been naive of me to think Mangadarake would be safe just because they'd have consignment sales. There had indeed been some consignment sales, but they had been assimilated in practically an instant. On various online auctions, the premium price was set at tens of thousands of yen. All scalpers should die in a fire. Regardless, with all that in mind, I thought that it was probably impossible to get my hands on it. However, just yesterday, while I'd been surfing at Channel, I just so happened to see that the new issue had been recently restocked at Mangadarake, which was why I'd headed for it immediately. God, please grant me a miracle. Here's a new CG. I prayed to the heavens in front of the store, and then I stormed inside. I scanned the doujinshi section with my eyes as wide as dinner plates. I went back and forth down the aisle, searching over and over again to make sure I didn't miss anything. But I couldn't find it. Sad emote. No, was it already sold out? I casually observed the cashier. It was a girl. She wasn't very cute, but she did seem friendly. Maybe I could ask her, but that would involve talking to a girl, which is impossible. I'd never even once used the hyper-advanced technique known as asking the clerk about whether or not they had a certain item in stock. We know. The reason was, of course, that I didn't have the courage to do so. And not only that, but the title of Higashi Matasema's new book was Saratan's Cosplayer Gone Wild. So yeah, asking about it was completely and utterly impossible. Excuse me, miss, but do you have a copy of my favorite eroge? If I asked a female clerk something like that, I'd no doubt be labeled as a pervert, and I knew that for a fact, thank you very much. Maybe the fact that you get labeled as a pervert is because you're a pervert. I'm just going to put that out there. Just throwing it out. In the end, I simply gave up on asking the clerk anything and exited the store dejectedly. End scene. Super productive. Oh, sigh. Guess I'll go home. Or maybe I should go to At Cafe. Uh-oh. I was about to say, you're probably going to get yourself in trouble, and before I could even mention that, oh, sword. Flipping between the two as I walked, a sword I had seen before flashed past the edge of my vision. This is where we saw Sena, isn't it? Yes, Sena. It was a girl with a distinctively two-pronged blade, the one that Girl B, the girl who called herself Sena, because that's her name, had been carrying around the city, not Girl B. And the crowded center guy, the tip of the sword jutted above the heads of the people walking down the street. Yeah, she just walks around with it. As it got closer to me, I hurriedly took refuge in a nearby arcade. You can't run, dude. She knows flash step. When I peered out from the shadows, it didn't take long for Sena herself to appear, the sword resting on her shoulder. Yep. She's just got it. There. Wearing an expression that was just as terrifying as ever, she walked quickly toward the station. She didn't seem to have noticed me. But even then, after having experienced the humiliation play that was lugging around a sword just like hers, the bold way that Sena walked around without a care in the world impressed me. Yeah, he still doesn't really get this. Was she not embarrassed to hold a huge sword like that? I mean, she had to have been questioned by a police officer at least once. No way she hadn't. As I pondered that, Sena's figure got further and further away. We're gonna turn around and she's gonna be in front of us. Where do they sell badass D swords like the one she has, I wondered? Yeah, again, we go up to the clerk. Where do you sell my favorite porn? Go up to Sena. Where do you buy those swords? I need one. The one I'd gotten a hold of didn't glow in order to have a badass shape, so I wasn't exactly satisfied with it. In comparison to the sword Sena was carrying, mine was far less impressive in terms of design. The entire reason behind me getting a D sword was to use it as a protective charm. Back at the Scramble Crossing, I'd have been trembling in fear and wishing for something I could rely upon. I feel like you swinging a sword around in that situation would have made things worse, but only if people could see it, to be fair. After Ribby had showed up, I'd become slightly more stable, but the situation surrounding me was not getting any better. I still had a lot of enemies, such as Shogun, Yua, etc. That was the reason why I wanted to get my hands on a D sword that looked way stronger than the one I actually had. Of course, there was also the collector's spirit found in every otaku. What, you gotta catch them all? As if drawn to Sena's sword, I've been staggering over towards Scramble Crossing without realizing it. Oh god, I bit my lip. I did not want to be out in front of the station. Bad memories with this place. I would reluctantly go to Center Guy or something or whatever because I had things I had to do there, but if I could help it, I preferred not going anywhere near them. Having a crowd of total strangers standing around me made me feel as if any escape route had been stolen away, and just the illusion of that made it hard to breathe. Unsurprisingly, the area in front of the station was infested with people. Yes? I was starting to feel more and more sick, so I opted to look down at the ground to try to hold back the nausea a bit. Because of that, the next time I looked up, I realized I lost sight of the conspicuous sword. It looked like she'd been walking toward the Hachiko statue, but... Right then, the light above Scramble Crossing turned green. A sea of people rushed into the intersection from various directions. It became pretty chaotic. A whole host of people walking every which way, and they did it all without even so much as bumping into each other. Yeah, I've always wondered about Shibuya Crossing. There's crosswalk painted on the road, but it doesn't seem like anyone ever uses it. They just go wherever. When I saw something like that, I realized how unrealistic the empty Scramble Crossing I'd seen in my delusion the other day really was. There probably wasn't even a single second in the entire year when there were no people in this place. What was I even trying to accomplish by chasing after Sena in the first place? I hadn't even been able to ask the friendly Manga Dorake employee whether they had something in stock, so how exactly was I supposed to talk to someone who looked unfriendly and scary-looking, like Sena? Exactly, just like Psy'Min Sezz. Besides, she might even have been my enemy. I didn't know what she'd do to me if I carelessly followed her around without any form of protection. Again, she's already behind you, isn't she? What was wrong with me? I should just go home. I finally decided on that, but right when I was about to turn around... What the hell? I noticed a white chain lying down on the street. I couldn't see the end of it because it was concealed by the legs of various pedestrians, but it seemed to be stretching from where I was standing all the way to the other side of Scramble Crossing. What? What the hell? It was a ridiculously long chain. Was it for construction or something? Is it attached to me? But there was no evidence of construction going on anywhere. Again, we're still toying with the idea of powers here. Did Sena basically make us come with her or compel us to follow? And we're just now seeing the manifestation of that via a chain or something like that. I couldn't believe they left a chain lying around like this. Man, it's so weird. Was this a location where they were shooting it for some movie or TV show? No, they wouldn't be filming at a time as crowded as this. Okay, did someone throw it away? A chain this long? I have to assume Shibuya Crossing, Shibuya Scramble has been used in films or whatever as a filming location. It must really suck to have to shut that down so nobody can use it. It had already been hard enough just to bring it this far out here. Where is it going? Regardless, it was definitely going to get in the way of people and cars. Tilting my head in confusion, I examined my surroundings to see how people around me were reacting to it. I thought it would be dangerous if someone caught their leg on it, but not a single person was paying any attention to it. Interesting. I rubbed my eyes and tried looking at it one more time, thinking it might be an optical illusion or something, but the chain was still there. Again, we're going to find out it's attached to us, aren't we? I didn't have the courage to touch it, though. It creeped me out too much. It wasn't a cheap-looking plastic one. It was an extremely sturdy-looking iron chain. How long had this thing been left sitting here? Uh-oh. As we slowly look up, if these were normal circumstances, I'd think it was some kind of trap. But these are abnormal circumstances, so it's definitely a trap. After which I would have run away in fear, suspecting that something terrifying might have been waiting for me. But now, for whatever reason, I couldn't help but wonder where the chain led. Yeah, my mind was overtaken by a compulsive obsession that told me I had to follow this chain. I love this power of suggestion motif, gotta say, I'm vibing with it. I crossed the scramble crossing before the light turned red, bumping into several pedestrians as I did. Gotta follow that chain. At the end of the continuous chain was an old dark green train car that was sitting next to the Hachiko statue. The wheels had been removed, so it was closer to a monument or an exhibit rather than a functional train car. You were supposed to be able to enter it freely, too. The white chain was extending from the open door to the inside of the train. Sena's waiting for us, isn't she? There were tons of people parked in front of Hachiko, but not one was paying any attention to the chain. They didn't show any signs that they were even aware of it. As well as that, there were no signs of any people on the train at all. I get the feeling the people that made this game were big fans of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. With a gulp, I peered inside the train car. Yep. Literally wrapped around her leg. I'm waiting for you. And you can't get away. It's a chain. Good luck trying. In that moment, I realized it was a trap. Well done. I couldn't believe it myself, which is why I hadn't suspected it at all before. The car appeared to be empty, but there was the figure of a single person inside. Aoi Sena was sitting cross-legged on a burgundy train seat. Her sharp gaze was fixed firmly on me. For some reason, she was holding a light blue popsicle in her hand. That was a Crunchy-kun, right? Forget it! I couldn't care less about Crunchy-kuns right now. More importantly, that gigantic D-sword she had been carrying was mysteriously nowhere to be found. I wondered where she had even managed to put the thing with how huge it was and all. No surprise this comes up. In place of the sword was a white chain coiled around one of her legs. Which reminded me that back when I'd first met her in Center Guy, she had said something about finding her in a train car in front of the station. This must have been what she meant. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. She did say that. Interesting. Was she the one who'd put this chain here? Could she really have been lugging around such a long chain? It looked like it weighed over 10 kilograms, and not only that, but it had to have been over 50 meters long. I had no idea what was up with this girl. She was entirely unknown to me. She wasn't normal. Could she be Shogun? Feeling scared now, I moved to run without saying anything except chain. Only for a sharp voice to strike me right then.
Hide.
Come in. I automatically stopped dead in my tracks. A blatant commanding tone, one that acted as if the train belonged to them. Of course, I had no intention of going inside. I didn't know who she was, I was scared of her, and I was awful at talking to 3D women when alone with them. Facts. I didn't want anything to do with her. I told you to come in. Sena's attitude told me I wasn't allowed to talk back. She hadn't moved a muscle, but I didn't know what she'd do if I showed even the slightest hint of trying to escape. Maybe she actually was a DQN, one that would beat someone up without hesitation. Talk about scary. But if I showed her even the slightest hint of submissiveness, she'd walk all over me. Everyone walks all over you. I've had to deal with DQN several times up until now. Whenever that happened, the best thing to do was just to run away. Go ahead and try. It didn't matter if you obeyed them or not. You get hurt after they were done with you no matter what you did, so the best option was just to run. Let's see if I can find an opening. Yeah, where's that chain, buddy? Suddenly, something from behind pushed me hard. Oh? Caught off guard, I was unable to brace my legs, and I toppled clumsily to the ground. Stunned, I looked back toward the entrance to see who the hell had pushed me. I'm gonna guess Fess. Or nobody. Oh, okay, or nobody. It's like it's the chain holding us. We didn't get pushed, we got pulled. There were a lot of people outside the train waiting around for appointments and whatnot, but I couldn't pinpoint which one of them was the culprit. Maybe they'd already run away. Why had they felt the need to shove me? Why would someone do something like that? I must have hit my knee when I fell down, because it hurt a lot. Well, now you know how Urahara feels. Avoiding eye contact with Sena, I staggered back to my feet. Huh? I suddenly realized. The bundle of chain that had been at Sena's feet just a moment ago had disappeared without a trace. I thought that she'd moved it somewhere, but there had been no sound to indicate that. And she was still sitting in the same seat she'd been sitting the entire time. Even if she had moved it, where the hell had she moved it to? I didn't see it anywhere on the train. Aha! So here we go. So I mentioned that this might be a thing, and now it's a thing, and we're being asked about the thing. Where was the error? Sena, completely unconcerned with how lost I was, Asked me something unintelligible yet again.
だから私をつ
You
けてきた
tailed
んじゃない
me,
のか
so I'm assuming you found one. As I shook my head left and right in confusion, Sena's expression became increasingly stern. She then eventually looked away from me, let out a small sigh, then took a bite of her popsicle. Freed from her sharp gaze, I nearly sank down to the floor once again. Talk about looks that could kill. I would have sat down on one of the seats if I could have, but when I realized that she might have said something to me if I did, I couldn't bring myself to.
お前が私をつけてきているのには
I knew you were following me.
私が作ったエラー
You saw the error I created, didn't you? Oh? The error you created? The chain is an error?
だから
What are you talking about?
鎖だ
The chain.
白い
The
鎖
white chain. If that was what she meant, then yeah, I'd seen it. I followed the weird thing all the way here, after all.
でもど
But
こに
I
もない
don't know where it is. It disappeared.
消した
I made it disappear. It was my delusion, after all. So this is the thing I kind of caught. I don't know. Something I got an impression from Chaos Child, which seems to follow on with the mechanics of this. Again, I'm trying not to spoil myself, but it seems that some people can make their delusions real. And that's kind of in the tagline of the game, too, because it talks about if you were God, if you could make your delusions real. You know, text to that effect. So people can just create their delusions and make them reality. Delusion? What was she talking about?
じゃあ
Then
剣は
what about the sword?
お前も持っているだろ
You have one, don't you? It's shit, but yes. Excuse me? No, I don't have one. How could I? This wasn't going well. I can barely get a word out.
それより
More importantly,
お前は何者
who
だ
are you?
見えているみたいだ
Seems like you can see. What? Sena glanced at me, then jerked her chin toward the window.
この窓の外に何が
What do you see outside this window? People? Lots of people? It felt like there were even more people than before. I felt like I was going to get a headache just from looking at them. There were people with their heads glued to their cell phones, people smiling over phone calls, people standing and staring at the stream of people. Practically everything I saw at the window were people standing around waiting for other people. I mean, if there were so many people here, why didn't anyone come into the train since I had gotten on? This is not really a train.
そこにあると思うか
This is a monument. Do you believe that there's a perfect world out there? Odd question.
あるはずがない
There isn't. There
エラー
can't
は
be.
確かに存在する
Errors will always exist.
すべてのものは
Because everything, people included,
電
is
気
an
自覚
electronic device. Oh? Everything, people included, is an electronic device. What kind of shooty plotline was that? Great question. Jokes aside, I also thought about similar things pretty often. And I wasn't trying to say that shooty plotlines were bad or anything. Good, because you're a walking one. After all, the world was overflowing with books, movies, and anime that were nothing but shooty insanity. Why was it that a writer or movie director or whoever else could come up with shooty plotlines like that and it was all well and good? When amateurs like me did it, everyone made fun of us. The world's greats had all been shooty bios. Just think about it. The Wright brothers had genuinely thought they could fly through the sky 100 years ago. Napoleon had boasted that the word impossible is not in my dictionary. That was why shooty bios weren't something to be mocked. It was the path that all of the world's greats had taken. But my question was, why had this girl suddenly started spouting all this chuny shit at me?
何を見ている
Hey, there's a new sprite.
じゃない
It isn't
何を
what
見
you're
せられてい
seeing.
るか
It's what's being shown to you.
人は体の
People
外から
acquire
の情報を
information
五
from
感によって
outside
得
the
ている
body by utilizing the five
その受け取
senses.
る情報のお
But
よそ
about 80% of the
80%
information we
視覚
receive
から入ってくる
comes from sight.
そして視覚から得られた
The
情報
images
は
obtained from sight are
パルス
converted
信号
into
となって
impulses,
視神経を通る
signals that are then sent to the brain via the optic nerve. Just like a telephone, I thought to myself absentmindedly. Yeah, we had that whole speech about how unreliable telephone signals and voices were. That must be thematically just kind of an analogy for what we're talking about now. A telephone converted your voice into electronic signals and then sent that information to a distant location.
電話か
A telephone,
似
huh?
ていると言えな
You
い
could say it's similar to that. Stop reading my mind! People need to quit doing that. No. That's rude. She just read my mind. No, there was no way. Had I been mumbling to myself without realizing it again?
VR 技術を知っている
Do you know what VR technology is? What, virtual reality? Of course, I didn't actually answer out loud.
ビジュアルリビルディング
Visual rebuilding. Huh? I was wrong, I'd never heard of that one.
アメリカの精神
It's a technology currently being researched in the field of psychophysiology in America.
生まれながらに
With this technology, even those who have been blind from birth will be able to accurately view anything that the eyes can naturally perceive.
ビデオカメラ
This is made possible by using video equipment such as video cameras.
どうやってという
Is this going to tie into that camera that was pointed at Nanami that made her hallucinate her
仕組み
parents?
としては単
That
純
look on your face tells me you're wondering how exactly, but the way it works is simple.
ビデオカメラが映した
Images provided by a video
脳に
camera
流れる神経パルス
and the nerve impulses traveling through the brain are both essentially electrical signals. Is this going to tie into how we made that image, that precognition, into a digital file that we were able to send to ourselves?
要は
And in short, all that's needed for the brain to interpret those images is technology that can convert the signals into nerve impulses.
すでに実際にテストは
There have already been successful tests to the point where the research team behind it have already obtained a patent for it. It was patented? Seriously? I thought that was just a fairly hardcore delusion with an impressive amount of depth and detail behind it, but claiming it was a full-on patent was taking it way too far.
その特許から読み取れる
Something can be inferred from that patent. Sena, who'd been looking out the window the whole time, turned to face me. She slowly crossed her legs.
ある意図的な情報
If it's possible to convert
神経パルス
specific
にコンバートする
information
こと
into
が可能
nerve
だ
impulses,
人の五感
wouldn't it be possible to control all 5 of the senses, and even the free will of people itself? Ah, now you're speaking my language. Even though it was right in front of Shibuya Station, it was strangely quiet on the train. It felt as if it had been deprived of sound itself. It was obviously an illusion, but I couldn't help but remember the delusion I'd had several days ago of the deserted Shibuya. As I thought about it, I couldn't take my eyes off the crowd moving outside the window.
さっき言ったように
Like I said before, people are electronic devices. Are you going to snap your fingers and they're going to vanish?
脳だけじゃなく
And I don't mean just the brain either. The entire body has nerves with electricity running through them.
つまり
In other words, even our bodies and actions can be controlled as well.
理論的には
Theoretically, that is. This girl, I was taken aback. This girl was even more delusional than both me and Yua combined. I mean, she didn't get you to follow her here. What she was saying sounded logical, but it was clearly a total pipe dream.
事実
In fact, the research team that acquired the patent is shifting their research in that very direction. Of course they
あ
would.
まりに危険すぎる内
The
容
contents were so dangerous that the President of the United States issued a memorandum to try and prevent any further research. Good luck with that. How much of what she was saying was actually true?
いかなる機関であろう
It said, no agency shall conduct or support classified human research without having proposed and promulgated the common rule. Sena looked downward and clasped her hands, resting on her knees tightly.
だが世の中
But the world is full of nothing but corrupt factions. Truth.
倫理を無視して
Factions that have no regard for morality and will sacrifice others without a second thought for their own personal gain.
ヘドが出る
It makes me sick. As she finished voicing her disgust, she sucked the last chunk of the nearly melted crunchy coon in her mouth, then suddenly stood up. I reflexively started to shrink back, only to run into the wall behind me.
無知は罪だ
Ignorance
知
is
ら
a
ない方
sin.
が幸せなこと
People
だ
claim ignorance is bliss,
そん
but
な
that's
のただ
simply
の甘え
naive.
世界を疑え
Doubt the world, study its mechanics.
この世界は完
This
璧
world is imperfect. She was coming toward me. Do I get a sword? Is it the popsicle stick? Thinking she might hit me, I tried to shield my face with my arm, but in the end, she slipped right past me without doing anything.
お前の見ている景色は
Is the scenery your eyes perceive truly real? I'm waiting for it to change. Without looking at me, she murmured that as we passed each other, and then she promptly exited the train by herself. I stared out the window at Sena as she walked away. Without looking back at me even once, she quickly disappeared into the sea of people. In the end, I had absolutely no clue as to what she'd been trying to tell me. The only thing I took from it was that Sena despised the world. Typical Chibiyu. From my point of view, though, it sucked ass to have her shoot her poisonous Denpa bullshit at me without even letting me get a word in. Hey, you had plenty of opportunity to speak, you just don't. Her tone of voice all alone had made me feel like I was being lectured. You were. The way she talked was often a moe characteristic when it came to 2D, but in reality it only served to make her feel even more like a total DQN. But the fact that she hadn't attacked me was a relief. Yeah, I feel good about that. Surprised, considering that for some reason she always gave off the aura that she was just raring to slap anyone and everyone. I wanted to take a breather after that, so I sat down on the seat where Sena had been sitting before. And immediately following that, a DQN-looking couple suddenly came into the car. Oh? After that came a trio of people that were obviously DQN. Kogyaras. Then an older middle-aged man and then a younger businessman wearing a suit. The train car had become claustrophobic in the blink of an eye. Before Sena had left, no one had even tried to enter the car, so where the hell did they all come from? The voices of the DQN couple and the Kogyarus were way too loud, so I quickly got out of there while telling them all to go to hell in my head. She kept them out so we could have a little private convo, I presume. In the meantime, we have run back to our shelter. And I know now at this point that text is not going to appear on the screen until I click, because for some reason I just need to do extra clicking whenever we're in a chat menu, or a chat screen. So we're going to save that for next time. I guess, yeah, who knows where this is going. We're starting to get some idea of the thematics and the mechanics, even if Sena is being cryptic like everyone else in this damn game. But the D-sword of our own is probably on the horizon. I wonder if it is going to be that you need some token for it, like, again, the bangle or the band-aid or whatever the hell. Or what the other mechanics of this whole thing are, and what... We know there's an organization trying to do this stuff because we've had a little interlude with them. What are they trying to make us do? And to what extent are they responsible for those delusions? To what extent are they responsible for the murders? I mean, it would make sense for them to be going out of their way to try to make people do crazy stuff. And all of the murders thus far have been pretty damn crazy. So that would track. Well, I guess we need to find out in the next episode and beyond. So make sure you stick around for that. I'll see you then. And we will shut her down. Take care. Have a great week. I know you will. Bye-bye.